Welcome to Let's Mediate This, where we take conflict you see in every single day, in real life, in the news, and online, and break it down through the lens of a mediator. In the conflict today, we have two homeowners in a Florida HOA community that filed a lawsuit against their board after it converted shared community property into pickleball courts without what they felt was a proper member vote. And then they ignored the mounting noise complaints from their residents. Legal experts are calling it a part of a growing national trend. As pickleball surges in popularity across the country, HOA boards are increasingly caught between residents who love the sport and neighbors who find it disruptive, loud, and an overreach of board authority. So let's talk about where the conflict lives. So you have how shared community property gets used and versus who has the authority to make those decisions. And then you also have noise as a quality of life disruptance versus a recreational amenity that is a community benefit as well too. And then we have due process. So was the property conversation handled correctly under the HOA owning the governing documents? And then you have the other issue of was the due process handled correctly? So was the property conversion handled correctly under the HOA's own governing documents? And then you also have the board accountability. Residents have been complaining and they have been documenting these complaints for quite some time. So they're raising legitimate concerns and they're not been being addressed. So let's talk about what happens if the dispute does not get resolved. So ongoing litigation can drain the HOA funds. So that's a cost that not just the people in the dispute share, but every homeowner in the community shares that expense. The neighbors are divided into camps. So permanently damaging and straining neighbor relationships, the community culture. We think about that too. Another good example is the board authority is definitely going to be weakened. In a community with known reputation for legal conflict and dysfunction, you don't want to be known for that and still wanting residents to come in. Another good example is property values can be impacted in a community with a known reputation for legal conflict and dysfunction. Then you have the fact that the board authority will be weakened. There'll be residents that have a lot of distrust around that, making it harder for the board to implement changes in the future. And then you also have the fact that property values can be impacted in the community as well too. So with a known reputation for dysfunction and conflict, who's going to want to live there? HOA issues are rarely about the actual surface issue itself. And oftentimes it's about people wanting to be heard and do they feel like people are getting treated equally under the